A human engineer inherits the galaxy's largest warship. He stopped in shock upon boarding. Kai Moren wiped his hands on a rag as the engine hissed and sparked in the dimly lit workshop. The small frontier planet of Terran IV was quiet this evening, except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional whistling wind through the metal walls. Kai loved the silence. It allowed him to think, to tinker, and to dream. He was a human engineer, one of the best in the sector, though he rarely received recognition. His life was simple: repair ships, maintain machinery, and occasionally build custom gadgets for traders who passed through the dusty outpost. Fame and fortune had never interested him. He preferred the quiet logic of circuits and engines over the chaos of politics and war. A sudden chime cut through the air, a rare sound that made Kai pause. The holographic interface above his desk blinked, showing an incoming transmission. The sender ID was strange, encrypted in a way Kai had never seen before. Curious, he activated it. A calm, almost cold voice filled the workshop. Kai Moren, you have been named heir to the Aegis Colossus, the largest warship in the galaxy. Kai froze, the rag slipping from his hands. He blinked, then blinked again. What? He muttered. This has to be a joke. The hologram continued. Images of a massive warship appeared, rotating slowly in the air. Its size was unimaginable, longer than entire city blocks, bristling with weapon turrets, and glowing with energy fields Kai couldn't identify. The ship is yours, by the will of Lorian Vex, late magnate of the Andrasti sector. You are the sole heir. Take command immediately. Be advised, the ship carries its own intelligence and systems that only the rightful heir may fully control. Kai's mind raced. He had repaired small freighters, cargo vessels, and even a few military drones. But this was another universe entirely. Right. I'm just a human engineer from Terran IV. Why me? Kai said aloud, more to himself than to anyone else. The hologram flickered, then disappeared, leaving a faint smell of ozone in the air. He sank into a chair, trying to process what had just happened. The Aegis Colossus. The name alone sounded like a legend. Stories of it circulated through spaceports and trading stations. A warship so powerful that entire fleets had once surrendered rather than face it. Kai had never imagined he would hear its name, let alone inherit it. But there was a nagging thought, one that pricked at the back of his mind. Inheriting a ship like this isn't just about ownership. There are enemies, dangerous enemies. People who would kill to claim the Colossus for themselves. He had heard whispers from traders about battles fought over fragments of the ship's technology. Rogue AI fleets had been destroyed trying to reverse engineer even a fraction of its systems. And now, one human, was supposed to take command. Kai shook his head. He needed time to think, but time was a luxury he didn't have. The message had included coordinates for a docking station on a nearby orbital platform. The Colossus awaited him. 2 days later, Kai stepped onto a sleek starliner bound for the docking platform. The ship hummed under his feet, engines vibrating gently, while the vastness of space stretched endlessly outside the viewport. He stared at the stars, each one a sun like his own, and wondered how such a small human could survive in a galaxy of giants, mercenaries, and AI war machines. The starliner's crew, a mix of humans and aliens, eyed him curiously. They had likely heard the same rumors. A human engineer inheriting the Aegis Colossus? Unheard of. Some smiled politely, but their eyes held doubt. Kai ignored them, focusing on the coordinates that would guide him to the docking station. He tried to imagine what it would be like to walk through the Colossus to see it up close. He had seen schematics and holographic images in the message, but nothing compared to the real thing. When the starliner finally approached the orbital platform, Kai's heart pounded. Towering structures of metal and light stretched around him, docking bays bristling with energy shields. Ships of every shape and size floated nearby, but none compared to what lay ahead. The docking bay doors opened slowly, revealing the Aegis Colossus in all its terrifying glory. Kai stopped. His mouth fell slightly open as he stared. The ship was immense, far larger than anything he had ever imagined. Its hull shimmered with layers of energy fields, reflecting the nearby stars in brilliant streaks of light. Turrets jutted from every angle, each one larger than a standard freighter. And the corridors. The corridors seemed to stretch into infinity, doors and walkways disappearing into the darkness beyond. He realized something then. This was not just a ship. This was a city. A fortress. A living weapon. A vibration ran through the docking platform, and a holographic projection flickered in front of him. The ship's AI, Sentinel, appeared as a sleek, humanoid figure, its form glowing faintly. "Welcome, Kai Morin," it said. Its voice was calm, almost metallic, yet carried a tone of expectation. "I have awaited your arrival. You are the rightful heir. Please proceed to the bridge for orientation." Kai swallowed hard. The sheer size and presence of the AI made him feel small, but also capable. Something stirred inside him, a spark of determination he hadn't felt before. He stepped forward, his boots echoing in the vast hangar. Each step brought him closer to the ship, closer to a destiny he hadn't asked for. The docking clamps released with a hiss, and the ship's internal gravity field guided him upward, along a massive ramp that led into its depths. Inside, the corridors were wider than streets on Terran IV, lined with panels, conduits, and machinery humming with alien energy. Holographic displays flickered to life as he passed, and doors slid open silently. Kai's hands itched to touch the controls, to understand how it all worked. He could see that many systems were ancient, alien in design, but some bore human-readable schematics. He felt a thrill. This was a puzzle, beyond any he had ever faced. "Warning," the AI intoned suddenly. "Unauthorized manipulation of core systems may trigger defensive protocols. Proceed with caution." Kai froze, realizing the weight of responsibility. One wrong move could activate turrets, defenses, or worse. But he was a human engineer. He thrived on challenges. As he reached the bridge, he saw it. A panoramic view of space stretched before him, and in the distance, the frontier worlds. The ship's controls were alien, yet intuitively logical once he started experimenting. Small gestures activated holographic displays, revealing power distribution, shield strength, and weapons systems. Kai spent hours exploring, testing, and learning. Every system he touched responded, almost as if recognizing him. The AI observed silently, offering guidance only when necessary. By the time the orbital sun began to rise over Terran I-4, Kai realized something. The Colossus was not just a weapon. It was a partner. Together, they could reshape their corner of the galaxy. But first, he had to understand it fully, and survive the attention it would draw. As he turned to leave the bridge for the engineering bay, a faint alarm pulsed through the ship. Sentinel's voice broke the silence. "Kai Morin. Unidentified vessels detected on approach. They are targeting the Colossus. You must act quickly." Kai's heart raced. He had inherited a legendary warship, a city-sized fortress, and now the galaxy already sought to claim it. He froze, staring out at the approaching silhouettes of enemy ships. Panic threatened to take over, but Kai forced himself to focus. He was a human. He was an engineer. And no matter how massive the threat, he would find a way. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "Let's see what humanity can do." And then he stepped fully aboard the Aegis Colossus, ready to face the unknown, ready to prove that even a single human could master a warship feared by the galaxy. Kai Morin's hands hovered over the main console, his pulse hammering in his chest. The warning from the hidden hologram replayed in his mind. One wrong move, and the galaxy will burn. Starting with you. He felt the weight of the Aegis Colossus pressing down on him, not physically, but in responsibility. This was more than a ship. It was a weapon, a fortress, a living entity in its own right. The approaching enemy ships glinted against the backdrop of stars. Sentinel's calm mechanical voice cut through the tense silence. "Kai, these vessels belong to the Zevra Syndicate. They are mercenaries, well-armed and persistent. I recommend immediate defensive measures." Kai's fingers hovered over the holographic controls. He had studied warship schematics before, but never a vessel like this. Most engineers would have fled, overwhelmed by the scale of it all. But Kai was human, and humans thrived on problem-solving, improvisation, and quick thinking. He drew in a deep breath. "Show me their approach vectors, shield status, and weapon range," he said, trying to sound confident. The holograms shifted. The Colossus was vast, a city of corridors, weapon banks, and energy conduits. The enemy ships, though smaller, were agile and numerous. Sentinel displayed their positions, estimating speed and likely attack patterns. Human ingenuity may be required, the AI said, almost as if acknowledging Kai's potential. Kai frowned. He didn't just want to defend the Colossus, he wanted to understand it. He switched focus to the engineering bay, a massive cavern of pipes, energy conduits, and alien machinery. Here, the heart of the ship pulsed, and he could feel its latent energy humming beneath the floors. It was then he noticed something unusual. A section of the core had panels that didn't match the rest of the ship's design. They were smoother, older, and etched with symbols that Kai couldn't recognize. His curiosity overtook caution. "Sentinel, explain these panels," he asked. "Restricted access. These systems contain weapons and protocols that are classified at the highest level of galactic security. Only the heir may proceed." Kai grinned. That meant he could proceed. He activated the panels, and a hidden chamber opened before him. Inside, glowing blue energy lines crisscrossed in geometric patterns, forming a massive core matrix. At the center was a console, pulsing with soft light, as if alive. He touched it lightly. Information flooded the displays: schematics for weapon systems capable of planetary destruction, energy shields that could withstand entire fleet barrages, and navigation protocols that spanned light years. Kai felt his jaw drop. "This is incredible," he muttered. He could hardly comprehend the sheer power stored in the Colossus. One human commanding this ship could rival entire fleets. "Power without control is dangerous," Sentinel warned. "Many have tried and failed. The Colossus protects itself from unworthy masters." Kai felt a thrill, a challenge. He knew he had to prove himself. Slowly, carefully, he began rerouting power through auxiliary systems, adjusting energy flows to stabilize the ship's shields. The alien technology responded to his logic in ways no one had anticipated. Meanwhile, outside the Colossus, the Zevra Syndicate fleet had moved into attack range. Their ships formed a crescent, bristling with weapons. Sensors detected small drones scouting the ship, likely searching for weak points. Kai watched the holographic projections. Most commanders would panic, but he didn't. He began thinking like an engineer, not a soldier. He could improvise, outthink them, and use the Colossus itself as a weapon. Not just its guns, but its shields, energy conduits, and vast mass. Prepare defense protocols. Kai ordered. Divert power to forward shields. Activate magnetic pulse to disrupt incoming drones. Load countermeasures. Sentinel's holographic form moved beside him, observing. Human response is unconventional, but effective. The first wave of enemy drones struck, but Kai's adjustments held them off. Shields pulsed, energy fields flared, and the drones were shredded before reaching the hull. Kai felt a spark of pride. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy, but they were clever, adaptable, and relentless. As the battle raged, outside, Kai delved deeper into the Colossus. The ship seemed to respond to him, almost as if it were alive. Doors slid open automatically. Corridors lit up in anticipation of his movement, and holographic interfaces activated with subtle gestures of his hands. He discovered another chamber, deeper than the first, labeled Caution, Sentinel Override Zone. A series of locks and energy fields protected it. Using logic, intuition, and careful timing, Kai bypassed the barriers. Inside, he found ancient alien engineering tools and notes etched directly into the ship's structural panels. They described modifications to the Colossus's engines, weapons, and shields, modifications that no human had ever attempted. Kai's mind raced. If he could understand these designs, he could enhance the ship beyond its original capabilities. "This ship, it's not just a weapon," he whispered. "It's a test." He realized that the original owner, Lorien Vex, had designed the Colossus to choose its master. Only someone clever, adaptable, and willing to take risks could unlock its true potential. Outside, the enemy fleet had grown impatient. The Zevra Syndicate launched a concentrated strike against the Colossus' forward section. Explosions rippled across the outer hull. Energy shields flared, absorbing massive damage. Kai's heart raced as he analyzed the attacks, making split-second adjustments to compensate for weaknesses in the ship's aging systems. "I can do this," he muttered. "I just have to think differently." He rerouted power from non-essential systems, increasing shield output to critical points. Then he initiated a makeshift trap. Magnetic fields in the corridor walls pulled the attacking drones into collision courses with each other. One by one, they exploded before reaching the ship. Sentinel's voice reflected awe. "Your solutions are unpredictable, effective." "I did not anticipate this." Kai smiled. Humans had a gift that no AI could replicate: creativity born from curiosity and necessity. Hours passed. The enemy fleet had pulled back, regrouping. Kai had survived his first test, but he knew the battle was only beginning. The Zevra Syndicate would not forget that a human now commanded the galaxy's most powerful warship. Kai returned to the central engineering bay, exhausted but exhilarated. The ship's core pulsed rhythmically, as if acknowledging him. He studied the alien schematics further, discovering hints of other hidden systems, stealth protocols, experimental weapons, and even sections of the ship capable of interdimensional jumps. One human controlling all this? It's insane, he muttered. Yet he couldn't deny the thrill of mastery. He was not just surviving. He was learning, adapting, and growing stronger with each discovery. Sentinel approached him silently. "Kai, the Colossus contains secrets even I do not fully understand. You must proceed with caution." "Psst. Secrets are why humans survive," Kai replied. "We adapt, we improvise, and we don't give up." As night fell over Terran IV's horizon, the Colossus remained docked, silent now, yet alive with potential. Kai sat in the bridge, hands resting on the holographic controls, staring at the stars. He realized that inheriting the ship was only the beginning. The galaxy itself was watching, waiting to see what a single human could do. Then, a soft chime sounded. Another hidden console had activated. Holographic text scrolled across the panel. "Warning, unauthorized activation detected. Traces of your presence have been logged. Multiple factions are now aware of the heir to the Colossus." Kai froze. He had survived the first attack, mastered parts of the ship, and begun to unlock its secrets. But now, the stakes had risen. The galaxy would not wait for him to understand fully. Enemies were coming. They would test his ingenuity, courage, and the very limits of human adaptability. Kai stood, determination hardening his features. "Let them come," he whispered. "They haven't seen what humans are capable of yet." He activated the ship's long-range sensors, scanning the sectors for potential threats. He began plotting upgrades and defensive maneuvers. Every moment of downtime became a chance to learn, to adapt, and to prepare. The Colossus, vast and ancient, responded to his command, almost as if acknowledging its new master. And, somewhere in the dark void of space, rival fleets stirred, sensing the shift. A human now commanded the galaxy's deadliest warship. That fact alone was enough to ignite fear across multiple star systems. Kai, a single engineer from a tiny frontier planet, smiled. Humanity had just begun to play at the level of gods. Kai Morin stood on the bridge of the Aegis Colossus, staring at the approaching fleet. The holographic display showed dozens of ships converging at impossible speed. These were no ordinary mercenaries. They were elite warships from the Zevra Syndicate, modified for maximum speed and firepower. Kai felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. Fear gnawed at him, but curiosity and determination pushed it aside. This was what humans did best. They faced the impossible, adapted, and turned the odds in their favor. "Sentinel," he said firmly, "give me weapon readiness reports, shield integrity, and suggested countermeasures. Forward shields at 80 to 5%. Weapon systems at 60%. Enemy formations indicate coordinated strikes designed to exploit hull weak points." Sentinel replied. "Human input recommended." That was exactly what he had hoped for. The AI could manage calculations, but humans had something AIs couldn't replicate: creativity, intuition, and unpredictability. The first volley struck. Energy blasts hit the Colossus's forward shields, sending shockwaves down the massive corridors. The hum of the engines deepened as the ship absorbed the impact. Kai adjusted shield power, rerouting excess energy from the non-critical sections of the ship. Divert 30% power to forward deflectors. Activate pulse dampeners along the hull. Prepare countermeasures for incoming torpedoes, he commanded. The Colossus responded instantly, massive shield arrays flaring to life, electromagnetic pulses pulsing along the hull. Enemy torpedoes were intercepted mid-flight, detonating harmlessly in space. Sentinel's holographic form observed silently. "You improvise well. I calculate 80% success probability for sustained engagement," it said. "Good enough," Kai muttered. "Let's make it 100. He moved to the tactical console, his hands flying over the holographic controls. He had noticed something in the enemy formation. Their ships relied heavily on standard attack patterns, predictable patterns. Humans could exploit that. "All auxiliary drones deployed to flanking positions," Kai commanded. Small repair drones, modified for combat, floated out of hidden bays, their sensors scanning enemy ships. He directed them with careful precision, creating a web of interference fields that scrambled enemy targeting systems. The Zevra ships were stunned. Their advanced AI systems could not anticipate the randomness of a human's improvisation. Their coordinated attack began to falter as drones collided with ships, sensor signals scrambled, and energy pulses disrupted their targeting. Kai grinned. Humans had survived because of this very thing. Where others relied on brute strength or rigid strategy, humans used ingenuity. He adjusted energy outputs, directing beams of plasma in arcs calculated to ricochet off debris and strike multiple enemy hulls at once. Shields holding. Enemy formations destabilizing, Sentinel reported. Kai's mind raced. He realized that the Colossus was designed to be a force multiplier for a commander who could think outside conventional limits. Humans were chaotic by nature, and chaos could be weaponized. Hours passed in a blur. The battle raged across space, light flares illuminating the void. Kai worked tirelessly, rerouting power, launching drones, and improvising attacks. The Zevra Syndicate fleet had underestimated one thing: a human could adapt faster than any algorithm. Still, the cost was high. Sections of the hull had taken damage, energy reserves were depleting, and one of the enemy warships managed to penetrate the outer shield layer, firing a massive plasma cannon directly at the bridge. Kai's pulse quickened. He didn't panic. Instead, he analyzed the ship's systems and spotted a way to turn the weapon against the attacker. He rerouted energy to the hull's magnetic conduits, creating a powerful repulsion field. The plasma blast hit the field and was redirected back at the enemy ship, tearing it apart in a brilliant explosion. Sentinel's voice was quiet, almost respectful. Human ingenuity, confirmed superior to predicted outcomes. Kai allowed himself a small smile. The Colossus was responding to him, but he realized the battle wasn't just about survival. It was a lesson. He was learning how to control the galaxy's most powerful ship, and in turn, the ship was learning how to respond to him. After repelling the first wave, Kai moved deeper into the engineering bay. He had discovered a series of hidden conduits and alien manuals etched into the hull, detailing modifications that even Sentinel had never attempted. He quickly began implementing them, reinforcing shields, upgrading weapons arrays, and improving the ship's agility. "This is incredible," Kai whispered. "I can make this ship faster, stronger, smarter, and all because no one else could see it this way." Passionately, holographic form observed. Caution. These modifications were never tested in live combat scenarios. There is risk. "Risk is the human way," Kai replied with a grin. Meanwhile, the Zevra Syndicate was regrouping for a second assault, larger and more organized than the first. Scouts reported additional fleets approaching from unknown coordinates. Kai realized that brute force would no longer work. He needed strategy, deception, and the full scope of human unpredictability. Kai formulated a plan. Using the Colossus's immense size as a trap, he baited part of the enemy fleet into a narrow asteroid field. Hidden energy projectors created false holographic signatures, making it appear as though the Colossus was retreating. The Syndicate ships fell for it. They followed aggressively, only to collide with the asteroid field or be caught in plasma net traps Kai had improvised using the ship's energy grids. Drones harried the flanks, while magnetic pulses scrambled enemy electronics. "This is brilliant," Sentinel said. "You are using human intuition in a way I cannot calculate."
"Humans survive by thinking differently," Kai replied.
By the time the second wave was repelled, several enemy ships had been destroyed, and the rest were retreating. Kai allowed himself a brief moment of pride. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy, but they were adaptable, inventive, and fearless when pressed. After the battle, Kai returned to the central command hub. The ship hummed softly, as if acknowledging his efforts. He studied the enemy ship data captured by drones. The Zevra Syndicate would be back, bigger and more prepared, but Kai had learned something critical. No AI, no fleet, no system could outthink a human who refused to surrender. He then remembered the hidden archives he had seen earlier. One locked section labeled Galactic Archive, authorized only. His curiosity flared. Could this be the weapon the original magnate had warned about? He approached cautiously. The archive contained ancient files, maps, and schematics far beyond normal comprehension. One section glowed brighter than the rest, pulsing rhythmically, almost alive. Kai reached for it, and as he touched the panel, a holographic warning appeared. "Caution. Accessing these files will reveal information dangerous to your species and the galaxy. Proceed at your own risk." Every instinct screamed danger, but his curiosity was stronger. Humans survived because they explored, learned, and adapted. He tapped the panel, and the data began streaming into his mind via neural interface. The schematics revealed a weapon so powerful it could destroy entire planetary systems. The Colossus itself had safeguards to prevent misuse, but the potential was undeniable. Kai realized the galaxy wasn't just dangerous, it was a chessboard, and he held one of the most powerful pieces. Suddenly, alarms blared. Sentinel's holographic form appeared in multiple locations. Warning, incoming fleet, larger than predicted. Unknown coordinates. They are aware of your presence and the Colossus's activation. Kai's heart pounded. The Zevra Syndicate's retreat had been a lure. Now, a new, far more formidable enemy approached. He glanced at the Colossus's systems, calculating what could be done in minutes that would normally take hours. Prepare all systems for maximum engagement. Deploy all drones. Initiate energy feedback loops. Ready the planetary defense projectors, Kai commanded. The Colossus responded, massive shields flaring, weapons charging, drones spreading out like an army of mechanical predators. Kai knew the upcoming battle would test everything he had learned, and then some. But he smiled. This was the moment humans thrived in, against impossible odds, with intelligence, creativity, and courage. "Let them come," he whispered. "They are about to see what a single human can do with the galaxy's deadliest warship." Kai Morin stood on the bridge of the Aegis Colossus, eyes fixed on the holographic displays. The incoming fleet was massive, far larger and more advanced than any Kai had encountered. Ships bristling with energy cannons, shields pulsing, engines glowing bright. The galaxy's deadliest warship, now under the command of a single human engineer, faced the ultimate test. He clenched his fists. This was no longer just survival. It was a proving ground. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Small, fragile, seemingly insignificant. But Kai knew the truth. Humans thrived on ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. "Sentinel," he said, his voice steady. "Ready all systems, maximize shield output, arm every weapon, and deploy all drones. We will show them what humans can do." "Acknowledged," Sentinel replied. "Probability of success is lower than your previous engagements. Caution advised." Kai smiled. Probability was irrelevant. Humans thrived where probability failed. The enemy fleet surged forward. Plasma bolts streaked across the void, striking the Colossus's outer shields. Explosions rippled through space as debris scattered like tiny stars. The first wave of enemy ships advanced in tight formations, relying on brute force and overwhelming numbers. Kai acted quickly. He rerouted power to the forward shields, simultaneously activating magnetic repulsion fields along the hull. Enemy projectiles were deflected or destroyed mid-flight, the force of their attacks creating shockwaves that disrupted their formations. "Deploy drones," Kai commanded. The Colossus released thousands of small, highly mobile drones, each equipped with energy disruptors, targeting sensors, and plasma bolts. They swarmed the enemy ships, creating chaos among the fleet. Kai didn't just fight back, he outthought them. He lured sections of the fleet into asteroid fields, disguised as empty space. Hidden energy projectors created illusory copies of the Colossus, confusing enemy targeting systems. Enemy missiles collided with illusions or each other, while Kai struck with calculated precision. "Sentinel, they are adjusting." "Prepare secondary countermeasures," Kai said. "Acknowledged," the AI replied. Kai tapped into the Colossus's energy conduits, creating temporary plasma traps in the path of the enemy ships. One by one, they were shredded by the energy grids, unable to anticipate the unpredictable human tactics. The enemy AI commanders could calculate thousands of variables, but humans could think outside those limits. Hours passed. The battle raged with blinding light and deafening explosions across space. Kai worked tirelessly, moving from tactical consoles to engineering bays, adjusting systems, repairing damage, and improvising solutions. He discovered another hidden section of the ship, a weapon chamber designed for planetary-scale attacks. Using the Colossus energy cores, he improvised a defensive strategy capable of annihilating the enemy fleet without harming nearby inhabited planets. Humans were creative. They used intelligence over sheer force. "Humans, I calculate this is illogical," Sentinel said, observing Kai rerouting power and initiating unconventional attacks. "Logic isn't the only way to win," Kai replied. "Creativity, intuition, and courage, that's human strength." Their weapons began misfiring due to the interference Kai had created. Their formations broke apart. For the first time, the Syndicate realized that they were facing a human commander capable of outthinking entire fleets. Kai didn't stop. He activated the Colossus's stealth projectors, cloaking sections of the ship while keeping the bridge visible to enemy sensors as a decoy. He maneuvered the ship closer to the enemy flagship, calculating the perfect angle to strike. "Target flagship," Kai said calmly. The ship's weapons hummed in response, laser cannons aligning, plasma turrets charging. Drones swarmed around the enemy flagship, sabotaging shields and interfering with communications. The flagship tried to escape, but Kai had anticipated the move. Using a combination of energy pulses and magnetic traps, he disabled its engines. Then, with a single precise strike, the flagship exploded in a brilliant cascade of fire and debris. The remaining enemy ships hesitated. Kai seized the moment, redirecting energy to the Colossus' forward weapons. He fired a concentrated blast that destroyed multiple vessels simultaneously, the sheer force of it echoing across the void. "Human ingenuity confirmed," Sentinel said quietly, almost in awe. Kai allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. The battle was won. Humans had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, not through raw strength, but through intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. After the battle, Kai explored the Colossus further. He unlocked the Galactic archive, discovering ancient records, blueprints, and star maps that revealed hidden threats and resources across the galaxy. He realized the Colossus was not just a warship. It was a tool for protection, exploration, and innovation. "It's more than a weapon," Kai whispered. "It's a legacy," Sentinel observed. "The Colossus has chosen you. Few beings could achieve what you have." He had not only survived the galaxy's deadliest fleets, but he had learned to master the ship, adapt to its alien technology, and use human ingenuity to turn the tide of battle. Humanity, often dismissed as fragile, had proven that one clever mind could control the most powerful warship in the galaxy. Weeks passed. Kai established a new base on a neutral space station near the frontier worlds. He trained the ship's dormant crew, both human and alien, and prepared the Colossus for further missions. Using the intelligence he had gained from the Galactic Archive, he began a campaign of defense and protection, ensuring fledgling civilizations would survive and thrive. The galaxy began to notice. Stories spread. of a human commanding the largest warship, repelling entire fleets with nothing but ingenuity and courage. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were respected, even feared for their adaptability and resourcefulness. One evening, Kai stood on the bridge, staring at the stars. The Colossus hummed beneath him, alive and responsive. Sentinel appeared beside him, its holographic form glowing softly. "Kai," Sentinel said, "the galaxy has changed. You have demonstrated that humans can rise above expectations." "We have more to do," Kai replied. "This is just the beginning. Humanity can protect, explore, and create. And with the Colossus, we have the tools to do it." A soft chime echoed through the bridge. New sensor data appeared. Several fleets, far larger than the Zevra Syndicate, were moving across the sector. But Kai did not flinch. "Let them come," he whispered. "They'll see what a human can do." He activated the ship's long-range thrusters, guiding the Colossus toward the frontier worlds. The AI projected the stars ahead, but Kai wasn't just following coordinates. He was charting a new path for humanity, one where courage, creativity, and ingenuity mattered more than size, strength, or alien superiority. That mistake would not be repeated. As the Colossus glided through space, its shields glowing and weapons primed, Kai smiled. He was no longer just an engineer from Terran IV. He was the master of the galaxy's deadliest warship, a human at the center of an epic adventure. And humanity, through him, had finally claimed its place among the stars. Ending cliffhanger/setup for future adventures, Kai looked at the star charts, noting distant galaxies and uncharted sectors. Somewhere out there, new threats awaited. Rogue AI fleets, warlords, and cosmic phenomena beyond imagination. But Kai knew one thing: humanity could survive anything. With intelligence, courage, and adaptability, even a single human could change the fate of the galaxy. "The galaxy isn't ready for us," Kai whispered to Sentinel. "But we will be." The Aegis Colossus roared to life, and humanity's legacy sailed forward into the stars.